Motorola Fold versus the Samsung Z Fold 7. We're going to do a little bit closer look at both of these and see how they compare. Let's go. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at both of them closely. You know, they both went different directions. It's not just black and white. It's the way the camera design, of course, set up. Samsung's always got this long bar versus this thing here, which is the big square look. You know, I kind of like it. Others don't. But what's nice about it is, of course, when you set them down, you got this rocker right here. No issues with this thing here. As far as the external design stability, I really like the Razor here. And when we look at them, look at the thinness though. The Z Fold definitely appears to be a bit thinner when you look at this side by side like this. And it definitely is quite a bit thinner. And let's go ahead and do my thin test. And if you haven't seen my videos before, I use this level here and we do a quick level test. And the way this works is when I put the level on it, the bubble will actually lean towards the one that is thicker. And as you can see, it's quite clear and obvious that the leaning is towards the Razor, and you can see here how it is quite a bit thicker. And then when it gets to the cameras, let's move over this to the cameras. Let's see what happens now. Oh my goodness, it's definitely a lot thicker. You know, when we hold that up, you can see the gap in there. Now, as you can tell, it's definitely thicker. This is 4.7 millimeters when open and 10.1 millimeters when closed, where this is quite a bit smaller at 8.8 millimeters when it's closed and 4.2 when it's open. So can you really feel the difference in the hand? Not so much, not in my view. You know, switch them up. You'll have to tell me what you think about that, because that's going to be a personal preference. Now, as far as on the side here, you can see the buttons. The placement is a lot higher on the Motorola. And of course, you got an additional button here for AI on the Motorola. AI is something you either like it or you don't. You use it or you don't. I don't really use the button much, and I haven't used it on any other device that I've had that extra button. Now, a lot of folks do complain about the button set being up so much higher, but you know what? What I found is it's a lot easier to just grab and open the phone. The buttons don't get in the way. You don't press a button when you do that. And another thing is, because this thing has that rounded edges, it's easier to grab, believe it or not, and open. Whereas the Samsung, because everything is squared off and pretty much equal, it's not as easy to grab. It's not a big deal, but you have to apply more pressure with your fingers to be able to open it. And it is a little stiffer on the open than this thing. This is, well, no, not really. I guess, well, once you get going, this is a little thinner or a little easier to open. Now let's just look at apps and a couple other things. Then we want to get into the photos. Check this out here. So looking at these two side by side, I just want to point out real quick, you see that the Motorola is just a little bit taller than the Samsung, because this is an 8.1 across, where this is a 8-inch across or diagonal. So it's a little bit larger, but I don't think that makes a whole lot of difference on the display. Now, as you can see here, the apps on these things, you know, you can customize them. You can put them anywhere you want. And you can see I have a different design on each of them. And they both have the folders where you can shrink them up or enlarge them. But that's it. Both of them are the same. You know, over here, you can do the same thing. You can see here, smaller, and then hold it and larger. So you can see that they both, that's all they have. That's the only feature they have, where all of the others that I have, except for the Pixel, you can actually resize to make them long or tall or whatever. These you just have squares. Okay, that's it. Large folder or small folder. So there's no advantage there on the Samsung. Now, there may be some additional app that you can download through Good Lock to change that on the Samsung. If you've done that, just let us know down in the comments. But I don't really like to rely on Good Lock for comparison, because that's an additional app. Whether you want to call it a third party or not, because it comes from Samsung, it's additional app to make changes, which is really not a fair comparison. I use what's on the device themselves. Now, of course, you can see on both of them, you can get a slide here. I like to use the Google feed. They both work exactly the same. There's really no difference there. Let's open up YouTube real quick here. I want to show you something on YouTube. Let me open up a video on both of them, and let's see something here. As you can see here, turn that volume down. When I turn the phone, okay, when you turn the phone like so, you can see that everything goes into the landscape here. And I can do the same thing here on the Z Fold. But check this out. This happens to these Chinese phones, whether it's Motorola, Honor, or even the Oppo Find N6. For some reason, this information down here disappears. Have it on the Samsung. I prefer this. I don't quite understand why the information data has gone. I mean, I can't like this video, I can't share, I can't do any of this stuff. I don't understand why the information's gone. If I want the information, I got to turn it back like so to get the information. And that just bugs me. Okay. Now, other than that, they both function the same. And as you can see, the video is about the same size on either one of them. And if you go full screen here, it just centers it and you got the black bar, which you can change. And of course, you can pinch and zoom and go full screen on these. What I don't like, though, here on the Samsung is when you do go full screen, and if you turn it here, except for this scene here, you see that the camera shows up in here. And do the same thing here and get past that. And you can see the camera, because it's up here on the top, it's no longer in the scene. It's out of view. I prefer that on my phones, but that's just a personal preference. Now let's take a real quick look at multitasking, and then we'll move on to photos. Now there are some similarities in multitasking on these two phones. When you open them up, if you want to multitask on the Samsung, it's a 2-finger swipe, but you see how it kind of moves everything, and then you got to scroll through here to find your app. It's a little bit different here. You take 3 fingers from the side and you scroll, and look how it pushed it to the side, opened everything up. Now all the apps that I typically use are there on display for me right there on the screen. And then I can go ahead and select something like Chrome. It just happens to be Chrome's here at the top. So I'm going to select it. So now you've got Chrome and Edge opened up together. Now here you can actually adjust it, which I really like. And you can go all the way down to what's called a 1090 split. On this one, on the Motorola, you cannot do a gradual. It goes straight to what I would call 1090 or a 95.5. It's a little bit smaller, as you can see here. So you have a few more adjustable options there on the Samsung, which I would say makes it a little bit better here. Now, when you come over here, you can also take both of them and you can swap top to bottom. Okay. And of course, you can go right on back. I rarely do that top to bottom split. Now, let's take a look at a third app. Okay. Over here, if you take a third app, you can just take it from anywhere. You can take it from here, or if you want, you can take it from this side menu, because you do have a side menu. Let's grab photos here, and I can take it and I can either add it as a free form, as you can see here, or add it as a third app. Now I have 3 apps here, all side by side, which is a really good feature. And then, of course, if you take this and you stretch it, now you've got a carousel of apps. Okay, all 3 right there, which is really nice. So you can do the same thing over here on the Samsung. You can grab from here, or you can grab from the sidebar here. Let's go ahead and do the same thing. Let's open up gallery, drag it over. Now, drop for view, you can drop it here, or you can drop it here as a third app. You see what I'm saying? You've got here becomes a floater. All right. Or if you want to take and drop it from here and take it down here, now you've got 3 apps. Okay. So that's no fun. That's no bueno. Okay. This is much better. Now, some folks have said they could put 3 apps side by side on their Samsung. I like to see it, or I like to know how to do it. I have yet to be able to do that. I don't know how you're able to close that up. I mean, if I take and can you take and drag it and put it down here? No, that just cancels. You can't put it anywhere but here. So what are the options? You got the center, and I can switch them. I don't want to pair. It looks like I can switch them around. So you've got 2 on the bottom, and then on the side. But I don't see any feature or option to have them all side by side. Here, I can turn it into a floater from there. So now it's a floater. So that's great. So if I come over here and instead grab it, I can grab it and I can make it float, or I can add it as a third app. Okay, so is some functionality there, but not as I would prefer it, like we have over here. So you've got the 3 apps open here, and then if you want to, you can take this, open it up, and you can take another app. Those are already open, so they are lit up. So let's take the calendar app. I can take the calendar and I can add it as a free form. So that's really nice. You can freeform it, and then you can push it to the side. So it's right here. Now, in another video, I showed where you can actually put up to 5 there on the side. So you got quite a bit of multitasking here, tasking on the Motorola Razr, which I do prefer. The Samsung, I do like that you can actually do a partial adjustment on the split screen. That's a little bit better, but overall, the fact that you can put 3 on the screen side by side and then do that carousel, I would make Motorola or pick it as being better at multitasking. Now, I did do a performance test with the Motorola versus all the other phones, and I'll show you the little bit of a clip here where you can see that the Motorola actually outperformed the Samsung in this test. It actually rendered a video a little bit faster, even though the Samsung has an Elite chip. It's last year's, and the Motorola has this year's 8 Gen 5 non-Elite chip. And if you want to learn more why that happened, you need to check out that video. Now, I know everybody wants to hear the sound difference between them. I really don't like doing these sound tests because you really don't get much out of it, but let's go ahead and set up this microphone right here between them, and let's go ahead and play some audio and see how they do. So let's start with the Samsung, and I've got them both turned up all the way, and I may end up turning it down. Next up is going to be Motorola versus Z Fold 7. That's one of its biggest competitors because they both are in the US and available pretty much worldwide. If you have any questions about any of these, leave it down in the comments. I do read all the questions and I will respond to them. I want to hear from you. What do you want to see me test? Until next time, if you haven't checked out the Motorola Razr, check out this video here. And I want you to have a wonderful day, and God bless. So the Samsung, quite loud, and it started to crackle. Next up is going to be Motorola versus Z Fold 7. That's one of its biggest competitors because they both are in the US and available pretty much worldwide. If you have any questions about any of these, leave it down in the comments. I do read all the questions and I will respond to them. I want to hear from you. What do you want to see me test? Until next time, if you haven't checked out the Motorola Razr, check out this video here. And I want you to have a wonderful day, and God bless. So you see there, the Samsung was louder, but it really started to distort, where the Motorola, it never did distort it, and it was much more bass. I think the quality of the sound was much better on a Motorola. It does have the Bose speaker system. If you have both phones, do your own test. Let us know down in the comments. What do you think? Now, we started out this video with 100% on both of them, and you can see right now the Samsung's at 91 and the Motorola at 93. Now, we're going to go out and I'm going to do some photo shooting, and when I come back, we'll share some of those photos and we'll see how these things survive during the day and after the photo shoot. So I'll be right back. Now, I've just completed a full day of shooting videos and photos, and you can see, check out where they're at. You've got the Motorola is at 67% in battery, where the Samsung is down to 38%. Now, I know that there's no surprise there, simply because we've got 6,000 milliamps versus 4,400. Now, something I'm going to share with you, I not only use them equal time, but actually that's not quite the case. With the Motorola, what I did was I used it as my GPS on a 20-minute trip to and from where I went to do my photo shooting. So that's 40 minutes of GPS on this thing as well. So, and music, of course. So this one actually stayed on the full time, where the Samsung got to rest during that 40 minutes. Now, I did that knowing very well that the Motorola would definitely come out the winner on this test as far as battery usage. Now, let's get back at it. You want to see some videos and photos. But first off, let's take a look at how they appear outside. When you're using these phones and you're looking at this screen as your viewer, if they don't do well in sunlight, it gets kind of difficult. And when you look at these clips here that I have, the Samsung actually has a much brighter screen on the outside and the inside, as you can see here. And it's just a little bit easier to see. And for some time when I was doing the filming, I was thinking, oh boy, Samsung's really going to win on this thing because it looks so much clearer because you could see. But once I got back to studio and really saw the difference, it was much closer than I realized. So here's a couple of photos, and then we'll play a little bit of a video clip so you can get an idea of how well they do. I'm not going to tell you which one is which. Now, I know I can do a lot more comparing with the video and the photos on this, and I am going to do that. And I'm going to release that in another video because this one will be way too long. So for those of you that like to see a deep dive comparison, check out that next video. Now, again, if you want to see the performance comparison between the two of these, I did a video of the Motorola against everything else. Check out this video here. Until next time, have a wonderful day and God bless.